is now becoming a real crisis.
Harry was not in love with Meghan Markle. He was in love with somebody else who turned him down.
When you look at the one who got away, and she's living the life that you hope to live one day, in Mystique no less, with a lovely man who treats her very well, of course that is going to hurt.
I don't think that Harry would ever leave those children. And so he's stuck in California and he doesn't have any friends, really. You know, Nacho is there sometimes, but he also lives in Florida and he's constantly traveling. He hangs out with his security guards and Meghan and the kids.
He has woken up and smelled the roses. And he's not happy because it's not roses he's smelling. He's smelling something bad. Poop.
On March 30th, 2026, Chelsea Davy shared a quiet Instagram photo that said more than any headline ever could. She stood on a beach in Mauritius with her third baby, a little boy named Finn, wrapped in a white blanket, the sun glowing behind them. No media circus, no polished rollout, no cameras trying to turn a family moment into a production.
Totally miserable, totally allowing his negative past to take over him, all of these court battles, and just a great sense of sadness, actually, and anger connected to him.
Just Chelsea, her newborn, and the kind of peace a lot of people spend years chasing. Now look at the timing, because this is where it gets wild. In that very same week, Prince Harry was sitting in a London courtroom, not on a beach, not with his family, not living the private life he once sounded desperate to protect. He was in a witness box, locked in another legal battle with the Daily Mail, dragging a long-running fight back into the spotlight again.
Prince Harry is heartbroken all over again. Now, of course, this is something that he is never going to admit publicly, especially as his marriage to Meghan Markle crumbles.
Then things got even messier. Private messages surfaced as part of the evidence, and suddenly the picture got a lot more awkward. Messages he had reportedly denied where there ended up being discussed in open court, including references like sugar and movie snuggles. For two people who once shared 7 years of history, the contrast could not have been louder. One person looked settled and grounded, while the other was facing fresh questions in front of the whole world.
He started having affairs with all sorts of other girls, and she got very upset, and he didn't go and see her for a long time, so she went off and left him. Now that's his fault, 100% his fault.
And that is why this story hits harder than some basic ex drama. This is not just about whether Harry ever thinks about Chelsea. It is about the road that brought him here. It is about how someone born into status, structure, family, and purpose slowly made choice after choice that seemed to pull him further away from every stabilizing force he had. That is the real sting in all of this. Here is the brutal part. Chelsea did not just move on with her life. She seems to have built the exact kind of life Harry once sounded like he wanted most. More privacy, more calm, more distance from the noise, more focus on family. Simple, low-key, and away from the constant show.
Unfortunately for Harry, after just a couple of dates, Sarah and Macklin decided that Harry was too dumb, too self-absorbed, too nasty to date, that she didn't want to date him.
Meanwhile, Harry's life keeps looking louder, more complicated, and way more public than the one he once described. That contrast is what makes this whole situation feel so heavy. Chelsea appears to have found peace, while Harry keeps getting pulled back into headlines, courtrooms, and nonstop speculation about what comes next. Keep your eyes on that date, May 2028, because it might end up meaning way more than people think right now. This timeline is not random, and once you connect the dots, it starts looking a lot less like coincidence and a lot more like a pattern unfolding in slow motion. Chelsea Davy saw the storm long before anyone else even noticed the clouds. Back in 2016, before Meghan was even in the picture, she described royal life in brutally honest terms. She said it was so full-on crazy and scary and uncomfortable, and made it clear she simply couldn't handle it.
Anna looked after him like a child. He was a child, but she had to really nurse him and hold him, and he was a damaged child from the start.
And here's the key part people overlook. She didn't just complain and stay anyway. She acted on it and built her entire life around saying no. Now rewind, because the history here is deeper than people remember. They met in Cape Town in 2004 during Harry's gap year, and what followed was 7 years of an on and off relationship that kept pulling them back together. After one of their breakups, Chelsea even moved to England and enrolled at Leeds to study law, just to close the distance between them.
Yeah, he loved her a lot, and she really loved him, and they had great fun together. And he liked it because she wasn't worried about the royal family. That wasn't a big deal for her. She just fitted in very easily.
That's not casual. That's commitment. She stepped into his world too. She met the Queen, attended Peter Phillips's wedding, and was there at William and Kate's wedding in 2011. Harry himself admitted later there were still strong feelings, but no matter how much history they had, Chelsea kept running into the same wall over and over again. The pressure from the press. And this is where things start getting uncomfortable. There were reports of intense media intrusion, including investigators tracking her movements and constant attention that made normal life nearly impossible. Travel, details being exposed, people watching her every move.
You can see it in their public appearances that this man can't even stand to look at this woman.
That kind of environment doesn't just test a relationship, it wears it down piece by piece. Now here's the twist you can't ignore. Harry's entire legal fight today is built on the idea that press intrusion damaged his relationships and pushed people away. Every case, every appearance in court, every statement circles back to that same argument. But if you really look at the timeline, Chelsea didn't wait around for it to get worse. She saw exactly what the situation was and chose to step out before it swallowed her whole.
We all know that that's how Meghan is. We've seen it from the very beginning. So to even say that you don't do that when we clearly can see that you have done it, you continue to do it, it just makes you out to be a liar.
Here's the playbook, and I say playbook because the pattern is too consistent to.
He told the court straight up that the tabloids destroyed what he had with Chelsea. He even said, "I always felt as if the tabloids wanted me to be single." That's a strong claim, and yeah, the media pressure was real. But here's where the story starts to shift. Chelsea didn't walk away just because of headlines. She walked away because she didn't want that life at all. The press made everything louder, more intense, harder to deal with. No doubt about it. But Chelsea's own words cut through all of that noise. She wasn't looking for someone to blame. She rejected the whole system, the constant attention, the strict rules, the pressure to perform in public like it's some kind of role.
If there was a willing billionaire, she would only leave for a step.
She didn't need a villain in her story. She just needed a clean exit. And once she took it, she disappeared from that world completely. And what she did next is where things get serious. She qualified as a solicitor at Allen & Overy, one of the most elite law firms out there. Then she switched paths, studied gemology, and built her own jewelry brand from the ground up. Ethical African gemstones, 18-karat gold, her own supply chain. That's not a side project, that's real business. Her personal life followed the same low-key pattern.
She tries to direct and show people what to do because she's a controller. And that's what we see in her body language. That is her showing control because she is control obsessed.
She wants to showcase that image to the world that she is the one who's the boss, but she's not really the.
She married Sam Cutmore Scott, an Eton-educated hotelier who runs a luxury group, but you won't see him all over headlines. The wedding? Super private. She reportedly picked her dress from a hotel boutique the day before. No spectacle, no attention grab, just done her way. Then came the life she clearly chose on purpose. 3 children in 4 years, relocating to Mauritius, where her family already lives. No interviews, no streaming deals, no public narrative about being wronged. Just quiet decisions stacked one after another until it all added up to something stable and controlled.
He is Mr. Mischief. He's Mr. Traitor. He's Mr. Charlatan. He's Mr. Double Standards. He's Mr. Duplicity. He's Mr. Disloyal. He's Mr. Entitled. He's Mr. Selfish. He's Mr. Big Overgrown Baby. He's Mr. Spoiled Brat. He's Mr. World's Least Happy Millionaire.
And one friend summed it up brutally in late 2025. They said that breakup was probably the best thing that ever happened to her. That line hits hard because it reframes everything people thought they knew. So lock in that image. Chelsea Davy, economics degree, law background, gemology training, successful brand, 3 kids, peaceful life by the ocean. Because once you compare that to what comes next, the contrast is not subtle. It hits fast, and it hits heavy. Here's where things start lining up a little too. Cleanly to ignore. Call it a pattern, call it a system, call it a playbook, whatever you want, but it doesn't look random at all.
You can actually get through to him to be happy now. He just feels it. It's everything's wrong.
Start with the friends. Tom Skippy, one of Harry's closest people from Eton, reportedly warned him things were moving too fast with Meghan. That's not some outsider. That's someone who knew him for years. And what happened next? He wasn't just disagreed with, he was cut out. Reports even claimed he was excluded from the evening reception at the wedding. That's not distance, that's a message. Then it didn't stop there. Other connections started fading too. Katie Nicholl described what sounded like a clear rule, a kind of silence code. Speak publicly, even slightly out of line, and you're done. No debate, no back and forth, just out. That's not normal disagreement, that's controlled access. Now look at the family side, because this is where it gets heavier. Harry himself admitted on camera in the Harry and Meghan that he lost friends along the way. But a few feels like an understatement when you zoom out. Reports about tension with Prince William got intense, with claims that the relationship hit a point of no return.
Set of highly inappropriate, very flirtatious text messages sent by the Duke of Sussex to a leading British journalist, which imply not just friendship, but potentially something of a far more intimate nature.
The Daily Mail left a nuclear bomb to go off at the end because Harry has said and kind of maintained that no, he has no personal relationships with the press.
Whether every quote is accurate or not, the direction is clear. That bond didn't just weaken, it broke hard. Then comes the military chapter, and this one added a different kind of pressure. After statements from his memoir, Spare, about combat experiences drew backlash, voices from within that world pushed back publicly. Tim Collins was among those criticizing how it was presented. That's not tabloids. That's people from his own background questioning him directly. Now let's not pretend this was all happening to him with no control. He made decisions too. No one forced the interviews, no one forced the book, no one forced the public path he took.
Always talk about how Meghan's like, they took my voice. Well, she's taking Harry's. She's taking his voice. She's taking, his freedoms away from him to do what he wants to.
That part matters, and ignoring it would be lazy thinking. But step back and look at the sequence as a whole. Who questioned things? Gone. Family relationships fractured. Military respect challenged. One by one, the longest-standing pillars around him started disappearing. Not always with loud fights, just gone. And here's the part that hits hardest. He even admitted publicly that communication with his father had broken down.
He was love-bombing him, completely love-bombing him, playing along with all their plans at the time.
When it reaches that level, not just tension, but silence, you're not looking at a small fallout anymore. You're looking at a complete shift in someone's entire world. Harry said it himself, plain and direct. He won't speak to me because of the security stuff. That's not rumor, that's not spin. That came straight from him in a BBC interview. And when you hear that, you realize this isn't just tension anymore. This is full breakdown territory. Now zoom out, because this is where the contrast hits hard.
These are creepy, very sexualized messages towards a young woman in journalism. And Harry claims, I found out she's a journo, I pulled the plug, but yet the evidence seems to contradict that.
Chelsea saw what this life could become way back in 2010 and stepped out early. She made her decision and stuck to it. Fast. Forward 16 years. And that same machine is still running. Only now, Harry is the one stuck inside it, dealing with everything she chose to leave behind. And this is where the story stops being just sad and starts getting heavy. Harry's legal battle with the British press has basically become the main storyline of his life after stepping back from royal duties. We're talking multiple lawsuits, with combined legal costs pushing close to £40 million. That's not small. That's all in.
A man who claims he disowned Charlotte Griffiths when he found out she's a journalist, and he's messaging her about movie snuggle.
His entire argument across these cases is built on one core claim: that the press could only have accessed his private information through illegal methods, phone hacking, surveillance, deceptive tactics. That's the foundation everything sits on. And to be fair, he did score some real wins. He secured damages from Mirror Group newspapers and reached a major settlement with News Group newspapers, reportedly worth around £10 million plus a formal apology. Those are not small victories. They gave weight to his argument. But then came the big one. The case against Associated Newspapers Limited, with the trial running from January through March 2026.
She had no intention of moving to South Africa with him and escaping the press and living a private life. What she always intended to do was go to California.
His team went in confident. They had testimony, documents, and Harry himself on the stand, speaking emotionally, especially when Chelsea was brought up. Then everything shifted in a way nobody expected. During cross-examination, he was questioned about Charlotte Griffiths. Under oath, he said he only met her once briefly and didn't really know her. He even stated clearly that he wasn't friends with journalists and had no real contact with them. Sounds clean, right? That's what the narrative looked like, until the final moment. Because on March 31st, during closing submissions, the defense dropped something that changed the tone instantly. Messages, direct messages, from Facebook.
Nobody wants to deal with them because, they know that aligning yourself with Harry and Meghan is just going to bring, not good things to come your way because they're so not liked. They don't have a good reputation.
And according to what was presented, Harry himself had initiated the conversation back in December 2011. Not only that, he reportedly confirmed his identity, kept the exchange going over weeks, and even shared his private phone number. That detail matters because it cuts right into the core argument of how information was being obtained. And this is where things get uncomfortable fast, because once that kind of evidence enters the picture, the case is no longer just about what the press did. It starts raising questions about what was shared willingly versus what was actually taken. And that changes how the entire situation is viewed, whether people want to admit it or not.
He told Nicklin that he cut off all contact with Charlotte Griffiths the day after he found out that she was a journalist.
Weeks. Not just one moment, not just a quick exchange. This went on for weeks. The messages stretched across multiple dates over a period of about 7 weeks. And the tone? Way more familiar than people expected. He called her Sugar. She called him Mr. Mischief, even H-bomb. That's not distant. That's not formal. That's comfortable. And it gets even more direct. In court, actual lines were read out word for word.
When Random House is done with the Sussexes, it will never publish another book by them. They were financially burned.
And I think Penguin is just so financially burned, they can't imagine doing anything with them again.
Miss our movie snuggles. That's not interpretation. That's straight from the evidence. He also wrote things like, "I'm off comms all week, in case you think I'm being rude," and signed off with moi and multiple kisses. At one point, he said he'd been busy but planned to get back in the mix in February. That's ongoing contact, not a one-off. Then there were the records backing it up. Phone logs showed a call at 2:50 in the morning, plus several texts exchanged on June 9th, 2012. So this isn't just messages floating around. It's a pattern of communication that lines up across different types of evidence.
They think there are royalties, but there aren't. Penguin overpaid, and with marketing, printing, and other costs, even with millions of copies sold, they will never earn out or get royalty.
Now let's be clear about something before jumping to conclusions. The issue here isn't flirting. He was single at the time. That part is his business. That's not where the real tension is. The real problem is what was said under oath versus what showed up in court records. He stated he met her once, didn't know about any Facebook communication, and wasn't friends with journalists. But those statements now sit side by side with documented exchanges that suggest a lot more contact than described. And that's where credibility becomes the real battleground.
The couple saw their deals with Netflix, Spotify, and Lemonada Media end in the last 2 years, with Spotify boss Bill Simmons calling the two fucking grifted.
Commentators like Alexander Larman pointed out that the messages directly clash with his testimony. Meanwhile, Tom Sykes argued that this actually strengthens the position of Charlotte Griffiths, because it supports the idea that some information may have come through normal access rather than illegal methods. And don't miss this detail, because it says a lot. In a previous case involving Mirror Group newspapers, Harry referenced Chelsea over 100 times, while Meghan was mentioned only a handful of times. That contrast doesn't prove anything on its own, but it definitely raises eyebrows about what still carries weight in his story. So what you're left with is a complicated picture, a legal fight built on credibility.
I also think it's interesting because the 10-year date of their marriage is coming up, and that is very significant in California. In California, if you're married for 10 years in California, everything is communal property.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't matter if you have a prenup or not. After 10 years, it's communal property and you get half.
Now facing questions about consistency, a narrative about intrusion, now intersecting with evidence of voluntary contact, and all of it unfolding in real time in front of the court. Now shift to the financial side, because this adds another layer. The Spotify deal, reportedly worth around $20 million, ended in 2023 after limited output. Public comments from executive Bill Simmons didn't help the perception either. Then there's Netflix. The original deal was massive, but after one big performing docuseries, several follow-up projects struggled to gain the same traction. By 2025, the arrangement shifted from a full exclusive deal to a more limited first-look setup.
The predicament that she's in, Paula, is that Meghan might need to go with this book earlier than planned. But if she does that because she needs the money and she's still with Harry, she is going to have to lie.
And when you line all of this up together, legal pressure, credibility questions, shifting business deals, it stops looking like isolated issues. It starts looking like everything is connected, all hitting at once, and all raising the same uncomfortable question. What direction is this actually going in next? Then came March 2026, and things started shifting fast. Reports claimed Netflix stepped back as an equity partner in Meghan's lifestyle brand as ever. Internally, the mood was summed up in two blunt words: "We're done." That's not a soft pivot. That's a hard stop.
Their only deal technically left standing is with publisher Penguin Random House. But I hear that too is over, if only because the two are annoying and can't come up with any good ideas for more books.
And it didn't end there. According to Paula Froelich, Penguin Random House had received at least 2 proposals from Meghan. One focused on leadership, another described by insiders as centered around a potential split narrative. The response? Reportedly cold. One source even said they were burned. That kind of reaction doesn't come out of nowhere. So now the real question becomes, what's actually left on the table? Let's be fair, because there is real money in the picture. The memoir Spare brought in a massive advance, around $20 million, and sold millions of copies globally.
It's usually a 6-month period for Meghan's mask to slip, and then she turns. And you can go in one day and not know anyone that you had been working with weeks before.
The settlement with News Group newspapers added another major payout. Add in inheritance funds connected to Princess Diana and a Montecito property that has nearly doubled in estimated value. And no, they are not broke. But here's where the pressure builds. The outflow doesn't stop. Private security alone is estimated in the millions per year. Property taxes, staff, ongoing legal battles. These aren't one-time costs, they stack continuously. And the key issue? Several of the income streams that were supposed to support all of this have slowed down or disappeared. Look at the internal changes too.
They feel a little bit used. They're using Montecito as a community for their brand, but they're not really involved in the community.
Reports suggest around 25 staff departures since 2020. The Archewell Foundation shifted structure in 2025, and longtime associate James Holt stepped away that same year. Even PR turnover became a pattern, with multiple exits in a short span. That kind of movement usually signals instability behind the scenes. Now here's where things get very technical and very important. Under California law, once a marriage crosses the 10-year mark, it can be classified as long-term. That doesn't mean anything happens automatically, but it does mean courts can retain ongoing authority over financial arrangements like spousal support. No fixed endpoint guaranteed. And the date? May 19th, 2028. That's the 10-year anniversary of their marriage. Not speculation, not theory. Just a legal milestone that changes how things could be handled if anything were ever to shift. Now let's stay grounded for a second. There is no confirmed split. Nothing official. In fact, Harry himself joked about constant breakup rumors during a public appearance in 2024, saying they'd already been divorced multiple times by the media. But here's the uncomfortable reality. When legal timelines, financial pressure, business changes, and public narratives all start lining up at the same time, people pay attention. Not because it guarantees an outcome, but because it sets the stage where if something does happen, the impact could be very different than most expect. Meghan said it herself in April 2025 on The Jamie Kern-Lima Show. When asked about their future, she answered clearly. Do I think we'll be married forever? Yes. She even described Harry as a fox and said they're still in a kind of honeymoon phase. That's not speculation. That's her own words on record. Now let's not twist things. Everything laid out here comes from documented sources, court records, financial filings, direct quotes, named reporting. The facts are public. The interpretation? That's where things get interesting, and that's where people start disagreeing. Because when you step back and look at the bigger picture, a pattern starts forming. Major professional ties, one by one, have shifted or ended. Spotify deal gone. Netflix scaled back. Penguin Random House reportedly cooling. The Archewell Foundation restructuring. Staff turnover stacking up. Those aren't rumors. Those are observable changes. At the same time, the personal side hasn't exactly stabilized either. Strained family relationships, distance from longtime friends, and public legal battles all happening at once. That combination matters because it shapes how everything else plays out. Now let's clear something up before it gets messy. A lot of online chatter leans on body language breakdowns and expert reads. That stuff? Weak evidence at best. It's entertainment, not hard analysis. If you're building a serious argument, that's not where you anchor it. But financial pressure, legal exposure, and documented events, that's different. Reports from Paula Froelich mentioned book proposals being floated. Separate coverage from Page 6 pointed to similar ideas. Their team denied it, which is important. But the fact multiple outlets picked up on it shows how these narratives are circulating. And all of this loops back to one date that keeps coming up. May 19th, 2028. Not because it guarantees anything, but because it marks a legal threshold that changes how things could unfold if circumstances shift. That's why analysts keep circling it, not as a prediction, but as a pivot point. Now here's where history gets pulled into the conversation, and this part deserves a reality check. Some biographers compare this situation to Prince Edward, Duke of Windsor, and Wallis Simpson. A royal stepping away, a controversial relationship, life outside the system. Writers like Ingrid Seward have explored those parallels. But let's not get carried away. The differences are huge. Edward was king. Harry isn't. The world today is completely different. Media, money, global influence, all of it. Harry has opportunities and platforms that simply didn't exist back then. Still, the comparison keeps coming up for one reason: the emotional angle. A man reshaping his entire life around a relationship, stepping away from everything he knew, and then facing the long-term reality of that decision. That question, whether the trade was worth it, is the part that keeps resurfacing. Not because history repeats perfectly, but because certain patterns, they tend to echo. That part hasn't changed in decades, and that's what makes this hit harder. Chelsea Davy didn't want the crown, didn't want the cameras, didn't want to turn her life into a public brand or a business rollout. No deals, no spotlight chasing. What she wanted was simple: Africa, privacy, a quiet life measured in real moments, not headlines. And the key thing, she didn't just talk about it, she built it. Step by step, choice by choice, she created that life with her own hands. No noise, no constant attention, just control over her own world. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Harry said he wanted that same life too. Not once, not casually, repeatedly. In his book Spare, in interviews, even in court, he kept coming back to the same themes: Africa, simplicity, peace. That wasn't a passing idea, that was a consistent message. And when you look at official records, especially court transcripts, you get a version of him that feels more direct than anything else we've seen publicly. Less polished, more raw. That's where his priorities come through clearly. And that's what makes the contrast stand out even more. Now let's bring in public perception, because whether people like it or not, it plays a role. Recent polling in the UK has shown a noticeable gap, with figures like Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, holding significantly stronger approval ratings compared to Harry and Meghan. That doesn't decide truth, but it does show how the public mood has shifted. So what are you left with? Years of legal battles, major deals that didn't fully land, a memoir that reshaped relationships, and a public image that keeps getting debated from every angle. That's one side of the story. And on the other side? A quieter life, built away from all of it. No constant headlines, no ongoing battles, just something steady and private. That contrast is what sticks. Not because one path is automatically right or wrong, but because it forces a question that doesn't go away easily. When someone says exactly what they want, and then ends up somewhere completely different, at what point do you stop blaming everything around you and start questioning the choices that got you there?